So I was a freshman in 2011. I was taking a public speaking class, and our first assignment was to create a 20-minute speech about anything I wanted to change. And it ranged from anything, your diet, what classes you were taking, something that you saw a problem with in school or in your community that you wanted to affect. And that same day, I went to the JC to grab some dinner, and 3 people offered to pay for my food, to swipe me. And I couldn't recognize why they were offering and why everybody was being so friendly. But later I found out that meal plans expired on Thursdays and then reset, which means that if you had 10 meals set for the week and only used 8, those last 2 ones kind of just went away. Even though they were prepaid, you were never able to use them again. So that was my problem right there. So that was the challenge that I was going to tackle and speak about in class. So I did my research. I found out that close to 30% of meal plans went unused, which also meant that 30% of all meal plan payments, like the money that was put in, the food, was not being used the way the student intended. So I was trying to use that money that was left over, so to donate unused meal plans to local shelters or organizations that might find that money useful. Again, it was the students' right to choose where the money was going because we were prepaying for the food. So it just made sense. So I started reaching out to organizations around Fairfax, and I got in touch with Facets, which is a local homeless shelter. And I was talking to the lady on the phone about, how would you guys like to partner up with this, or like to partner with me on this initiative, and how willing would they be to receive the money? And they were definitely willing. Yeah. But she said something along the lines of, "Oh, finally Mason is doing something about their students." And I asked her to clarify, and that's when she said that some homeless students from Mason were actually seeking shelter at their facilities. And that was shocking to me. It didn't make sense. I didn't understand how these students would be in these situations. At first I thought they might be, kicked out of the dorms or something like that, but I later found out that that wasn't always the case. So my idea shifted. It wasn't donating unused meal plans to whoever anymore. It was, let's donate unused meal plans, funnel them into a bank account on Mason, or in a Mason Foundation account, and support the student population. So support the vulnerable students that are on campus that might not have access to food, might not have access to shelter, transportation to get to campus and wherever they're living, etc. And so that process took about a 1.5 years of work, of petitioning. I needed to gather 5,000 handwritten signatures just to present this idea to the staff senate, student government, and Dr. Cabrera. And after I got the signatures, student government voted yes that we could donate unused meal plans to support this population. And just a couple of days later, I found out that Sodexo, our contractor for Mason Dining, changed the contract, and the verbiage of meal plans was no longer there. So they just rewrote the contract, and they restructured the Mason Dining plan to not have unused meal plans anymore. So that just came in a couple days after the student government vote. And so the vote was in 2013. The change didn't actually take effect until 2015. So that's how long ago Sodexo had decided on this new dining structure. So anyway, fast forward another couple months, just that year 2013, I came back to Mason. I was studying abroad that summer, and I decided to do research. So I said, if I can prove that the student population really exists, and I can get them to come forward and speak to the representatives and the administrators with me, then maybe we can have a bigger impact. So I made a little poster. I just put my face, my cell phone number, and I asked a couple questions. Do you worry about having enough to eat? Do you worry about where you're gonna sleep tonight? Do you have all of your basic necessities? And 80 people called that summer saying, yes, I'm a Mason student, I'm a Mason staff, I'm a Mason alumni, and I don't have anywhere to sleep, or I'm living in my car, or I'm living in a tent right by Mason Pond. So the problem was very real, and it was there, and I just needed to prove it. And at that point, I started documenting the stories and doing formal interviews. The research at that point was IRB approved, so it was official, it was real, it was recognized. And during that process, several students had mentioned it starting to get cold that year, and my partner, Michael Galvin, and I decided to have a coat drive in the office in University Life to support some of the students that were struggling to stay warm outside. And the donations just started coming in. We got coats and shoes and socks, and then we started getting food. And at the time, I didn't have office space. I was just kind of doing this all on my own time, plus my schoolwork. And this is 3 years later after this all started. So I started using a technology integration closet. So they had like iPads, iPhones, computer screens, and then like Campbell's soup at the bottom of the shelves. So we started storing the food in the technology closet. And that first month we had, I think, close to 600 pounds of food. And it was all flowing out and flowing in. So students were coming by to pick up the food, and the donations just kept showing up. I would come to the office in the morning, and there would just be stuff and my name all over, or, thank you or whatnot. So then University Life decided to give me office space to actually start running this thing. It was very unknown at the time what it was going to look like. And it became the pop-up pantry. So we have a fully functioning on-campus pantry that supports students in need. We provide them with perishable food, non-perishable food, toiletries, any other necessities. We have to think about dietary restrictions, religious restrictions. So we have a kosher section, we have a halal section. Allergies are always a thing, so we're being vegetarian or vegan, etc. So we have a variety of foods, and we try to diversify the donations that we receive. I think that sums up the last 4+ years of my time at Mason, and how this project really transformed itself into a solid research that I was able to present all over the country and abroad. And I've met some amazing people because of it, and supporting this population, and then really creating a sustainable system that's continuing to support these students even when I'm gone. The fact that you care is doing enough right there, and you just have to take it forward. When there's a problem and it clicks, when you have that light bulb moment of like, oh, this doesn't make sense, or I can fix this, or this could change, this could be better. That's you already going that extra mile, because most people just won't even notice. And so when you're in that moment, you just have to take it and run, and you talk to people. Make your voice heard. You can talk to your professors, your advisors. You don't have to go and petition the world or protest. But just talking to people just raises awareness, and that already starts a mini movement. And once you have that support system, you can do so much, and you can brainstorm with other people, and that's how lasting change, I think, really happens, just from the bottom up.